back or welcome to my channel. I am Lexie Horner, and if you're new here, what we do here is I sit down, tell a true crime, murder, or mystery crime story. And what I'm doing new is that I'm going to be doing my nails to keep me occupied, because I know my last video was probably really boring, and I just want to keep myself occupied while I'm telling this story. So in today's video, you've probably seen by the title, is that we are talking about Edward Gein. So as we're talking about his whole story, I'm going to be doing my nails. So it's not going to be something super fancy. I'm just going to be doing not like a normal look, but just something easy. So let's get into the video. Okay, so Edward Gein was born on the 27th of August in 1906 in La Crosse in Wisconsin. His parents are George and Augusta. George was born on 1873 and Augusta was born on 1878. Now, he did have a brother, and his name is Henry. Henry is older than Edward, and he was born in 1901. Edward's mother hated her husband, which was Henry and Edward's father. She was very religious and didn't let Ed have any friends, including Henry. She would go on to say that they would make him sin, including women. She preached to Edward and Henry about the evil of drinking. Her belief, she even talked about her belief that all women except herself were promiscuous, and instruments of the devil. She was seen as a buff woman. George was an alcoholic, and he didn't really seem to be able to keep a job, but he did own a local grocery shop, and then he sold it after the family then left the city to live in an isolation on a 155-acre farm in town called Plainfield in Washara County in Wisconsin, which then became their permanent residence for the Gein family. Now, people would describe Edward as shy. The teachers and students, classmates, knew him as having strange mannerisms. He'd start laughing like he was laughing at his own jokes that he was having in his head. He didn't have friends. He couldn't have friends because or his mother would punish him. Despite Edward's poor social development, he did fairly well in school, particularly in reading. On May 16th of 1944, Henry and Edward were burning away marsh vegetation on their property. The fire then got out of control and drew attention to the local fire department. The fire department was then putting out the fire. Then Edward reported Henry missing. They then found Henry face down on the ground, and it said that he's been dead for some time. They said it was from heart failure. After the death of Henry, Augusta and Edward, her son, they were alone now. And also, side note, Edward and Henry's father died a long while ago. I forgot to mention that. But I didn't go too much into detail about it because Edward's father isn't included in what is actually part of the story. So I kind of left that out. I didn't do too much research about him. After Henry's death, Augusta, their mother, she went into a paralyzing stroke, which meant Edward had to take care of her and everything around the house and stuff. On December 29th of 1945, Edward's mother, Augusta, she dies, and Edward is then devastated. Edward held on to the farm that they were originally living at, and he earned money from odd jobs. My lighting is terrible. I'm sorry. He boarded up certain rooms that his mother used, such as the upstairs, the downstairs parlor, and the living room. Now, the rest of their house became increasingly squalid. Edward became interested in reading pulp magazines and adventure stories, which was involving cannibals or the Nazi atrocities. He was also a handyman. Before November 16th, 1957, Edward usually, for his odd jobs, he'd usually go to the hardware store. But on November 16th of 1957, Bernice Warden, she was the hardware store owner. She disappeared. The store then was closed all day. At 5 p.m., Bernice Warden's son, he entered the store and saw blood stains on the floor of the hardware store. Frank Warden is Bernice Warden's son. He told investigators that Edward Gein was the last one in the store the evening before his mother's disappearance. Later on, Edward Gein was arrested at a grocery store. My nose is running. I'm gonna hurry up and buff my nails because it's taking way too fucking long. So I'm gonna hurry up and do that, and then I'll get back with you guys when I'm doing the painting. I have a white polish right here. This is gonna be the base color. Like you care, you probably don't. The Washara, I don't know how to say that. Anyways, the Washara County Sheriff's Department searched the farm. As they were searching the farm, they discovered Bernice Warden's decapitated body in a shed, hung upside down on Edward's property. As she was hung upside down, there was a crossbow at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. Bernice's torso was dressed out like a deer. She was shot with a .22 caliber rifle. Stam lining. Her mutilations were made after her death. What was found in the house? You will not believe what was found in Edward's house. Now here's the thing I want to put out. This is very disturbing. I will not put any pictures up here for what he made just because. But if you guys would like to see the stuff I'm going to say, some of the stuff is online. You can go check that out. I will not link it down below in my description box. But the people that knew Edward would find this like not true. And some of us would think it's not true. Because like, who would do such a thing? There was also things that Edward would do that was not normal. Like he would, like if someone died, he'd be like, oh, it was gonna happen anyways, or like I was gonna kill her myself or something like that. And people would go just, oh, Edward. It's just Edward. He's not gonna do anything. Oh, he did some stuff. So what was found in Edward's house was whole human bones and fragments. He made a waste basket out of human skin. He made chairs out of human skin, like the seating part where you go to sit on it, that part. I think he nailed it on there. You can go check it out. Some people say he sewed it, but like it doesn't look like it was sewed on. It looks like it was like nailed on. On his bedpost there was skulls. It didn't say female or male, so it was probably both or either or. For the bowls, he took female human skulls. Like this part was like a bowl. Made a corset. He made a corset out of female torso torso skinned shoulders from shoulders to waist. He made leggings out of human leg skin. Talk about a fashion designer. Oh my god, this is terrible. He made masks out of off the skin of humans' heads. They then found some woman's body, and they recognized who it was. She was probably missing. Mary Hoggins was the woman. Her skinned face was found in he skinned her face, her outline of her face, and put it in a paper bag. Now, you guys remember Bernice Warden? Her whole entire head was found in a burlap sack. Bernice's heart was in a plastic bag in front of Edward's stove. Now, they couldn't figure out, if he was going to eat Bernice Warden's heart. There wasn't enough evidence that he was going to, even though her heart was in a plastic bag by a stove. They couldn't tell if he was about to cook it and eat it or not. Also, a huge side note, I am not a nail professional. I just love doing nails. They also found 4 noses in a shoebox. He also made something else that is so disgusting. So you guys know what belts are, right? You put them around your waist, on your jeans, a belt, like a belt. Guess what this belt was made out of? female nipples. Female nipples is what this belt was made out of. There's also something else that, sorry. One thing I do want you guys to look at is the lampshade that he made out of a skinned human face. I think it was multiple. It looks like it was multiple, but it says one skinned face, so it's, I don't know. You guys should definitely check that out. I will not put it up here, and I will not put it in my description box. But if you guys want to see these, make sure you look at the lampshade. Please look at the lampshade. Okay, so for this part, I really have to get my mind going, so I'm not going to pay my nose right now. But I need to, focus on what I'm about to say. So, they couldn't figure out how many victims Edward had in his house. It was an estimate of 40 plus. He was getting his most of the bodies at a cemetery from his friend. I can't remember his name, but his friend did not participate in any of the, fashion sense or whatever Edward was doing. He would let Edward know when a body was coming, so then Edward would go to the cemetery, take the body, and then do whatever the hell he's doing with it. He also come to say that he didn't like the already dead people because their skin wasn't stretchy, it wasn't moist. That's why he started to kill, so that he'd have fresh skin. Edward also told that after his mother's death, he then created a woman's suit, not with her. He created a woman's suit out of other women, but then he would put it on to become his mother. After after they figured out that Edward was killing multiple people, he was then considered a suspect in several other unsolved cases in Wisconsin. So on November 21st, 1957, Edward had one count of first-degree murder, and he was pled not guilty by insanity, and he was diagnosed with. They also said he was mentally incomplete. He then went to the hospital. I can't remember the name of it right now. I just can't. In 1968, Edward was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense. Now, on November 7th of 1968, his trial then began. His trial lasted a week, and he was held without jury. He was guilty on November 14th, and he spent the rest of his life in a hospital by Gullimer. His house was then became a tourist attraction. And March 20th, his house then was burnt down by an accidental fire, but we could basically tell that someone got pissed off that it was becoming a tourist attraction, decided to set it on fire, and I don't really think they really cared if it was an accident or not. Edward died at the Medalta Health Institution. Institute, what the hell. He died by respiratory failure on July 26th of 1984 at age 77. Now, they did decide to give Edward Gein a gravestone, and I don't know if you'd call them fans or something, but people would go over to his gravestone and take a piece of his gravestone and was like, hey, look, I got a piece of his gravestone or whatever. And so, sorry. After everyone kept doing that, someone got hella greedy and took his whole entire gravestone. They did found it in this grassy area, so then they just decided that Edward Gein would not have a gravestone. Now, for Edward's story, they did come out with films of his story. So in 1959, a movie called Psycho came out, called Deranged in 1974. In the Light of the Moon came out in 2000. Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainfield, came out in 2007. There's also more films. Also, fun fact, a band came out and their band name was called Ed Gein. And this is the story of Edward Gein. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this video was more entertaining because I was doing my nails at the same time, even though you couldn't see them. And at the end of the video, I will show you my nails that I did. Hey, I also forgot to say that if you guys have any suggestions, go ahead and comment down below. And until next time.